Hello everyone! Welcome to Spada. Today I'm going to be making, or I am making presently, some soap embeds. I would say soap dough, but this is not soap dough. What I did is I just sliced off some thin pieces of a cream colored vanilla soap, and I just started carving them with this knife here. And then I used a small circle cookie cutter and I just pressed it into the soap. Then I pushed down this way and popped it on out, and I got a bunch of little discs here. So then what I did is I just, of course, carved them around the edges to make them a little bit more rounded, as you can see. And then what I did is I took this medicine dropper thing, or this medicine syringe, and I dug some little holes into this cookie. Now this is going to be an oatmeal cookie, and what I've just been doing is using this tool that I have for carving melons. And on the top it has some very fine teeth here, as you can see. So what I've been doing is just this, basically trying to give it some texture, smoothing it over with my thumb to kind of blend it in so it just doesn't look like a bunch of teeth marks on it, and give it a little bit more of a cookie texture. Before I started using this tool, I was using some handy dandy tin foil and just putting it into a ball and pressing down on the cookie to get out all the edges that I had carved that I wanted to get rid of, and kind of smooth the cookie out. So this is the stage that I'm at in making these cute little cookies, and I just thought you could come along and join me for it. So this is basically what I'm doing, essentially. I like that word, essentially. So when I first do this, you know, it doesn't look like a cookie texture. It kind of just looks exactly like I've just been pressing these teeth marks of a knife into the cookie, just making it look like a bunch of a bunch of knife marks. So, but if you smooth it in like this, it ends up blending all those little ridges that I created with this together, and then I'm good to go. So I'm just doing a few of these just to give a little bit more texture. Since this is an oatmeal cookie, you know, obviously you want a lot of texture, and I probably don't have as much texture as what I should, because oatmeal cookies are pretty bumpy, but it doesn't have to be perfect, and people will get the idea and still looks just as good. I just went digging in my drawers to find some tools and find some things. I have so much stuff, and you know, often I feel bad about all the stuff that I have. People call it clutter, but you know what? When it comes to being creative, I realize just how valuable it is, I guess, to have a lot of stuff nonetheless, because when I need something, it's always there, and I'm always creating something different. So, you know, I could need any number of things, and it's nice to have a lot of materials to work with. If I lived like some other people, like I have neighbors, I have people I've known that, and we've all known them, that have these houses that are just so perfect. There's no clutter. They really get rid of a lot of things and just go down to some basic things that they need. But maybe that's all they need. Who knows what interests they have. Their interests aren't the same as what mine are. They might not be a really creative person, and therefore they wouldn't want a whole lot of stuff around, whereas a creative person does. We like the inspiration. We like being able to dig through a big box of a big box of materials and start going through stuff and hauling stuff out. Stuff goes everywhere. That is the nature of a creative person, and I think that it needs to be embraced. Now, I agree, sometimes I feel I'm taking it a little bit too far because, you know, things start to get, like, to be a little bit too much. And it does, I agree. Out of hand, yeah. It does, I agree, come to a point of where you're like, okay, maybe I should get rid of just a few things, just out of necessity. But, you know, I just hope I made my point. It's an important point to realize. I mean, people come in my house and they're like, most people will say that. They'll be like, well, I think you got a lot of stuff. Wow, you got a lot of stuff. I hear that. And sometimes people just don't say anything because they're like, wow, like, you got a lot of stuff. And usually the people that say that are people who don't have a lot of stuff. So they just don't understand. They don't understand what it's like to be a creative person. I mean, since I was a little girl, I mean, when I'd get crafty, I'd make a big mess. And you need something to make that big mess with. So, you know, let's say I'm making a puppet or something like that, because I make puppets. I may need to go through several boxes of different things to get the right thing I'm looking for, or the right things. And that's how inspiration is born. I mean, if you just had a few things in a box, then you'd be so limited to those things. And then you just have to make do with what you got. But when you got a lot of things, you can really make something really, you know, unique. Not that it wouldn't be unique if you just had a few things. I don't know how to make my point here. But anyway, I know there's some truth in what I'm saying, even though I can't think of the words right now. I find often, like, for example, like when I would make a puppet, it's like I'm going along with this creative flow, this creative spirit, this creative inspiration. And as I go along, I feel like this voice inside of my head say, dig in that box, dig in this box, this one right here. And I'll just follow my intuition. I'll follow that voice. And lo and behold, when I go in there, it is the perfect thing for what, it was just the perfect thing I was looking for. And it fits perfectly to whatever it was I was making. Okay, so I've flabberjabbered on enough about that. What else can we talk about here? Because just watching me do this is too exciting. I often watch soap makers, you know. This is what they do. If they're doing something that's like really boring and time consuming and repetitious, well, they just go on a tangent gabbing about everything. One I know in particular, and she's fantastic. Royalty Soaps. She makes amazing, amazing soaps, and she's been doing it a long, long time, and she's doing really well. And she'll just talk and talk and talk and talk, and everybody loves to listen to her talk because she's so bubbly, she's so cute, and she has a great personality, and everybody just loves her, and she talks about everything under the sun. So that's what I'm attempting to do here today. And I'm almost done. I have 4 more after this one. And I must say, this tool, I'm glad I found this tool because it's printing really well. This soap is hard, like a hard soap. It's not even a soft soap. Like there's other soaps that I have that, because they have a super fat, they're much softer. But this one was super, I mean super hard. So I actually had to use the cookie cutter. I didn't want to grate it. because the soap was already cut up into little